everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel Rather to Be Reading, and today I'm bringing to you a recent reads video. I hope that everyone had a really lovely holiday festive season, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Sometimes I think, well, if you don't celebrate Christmas, you still probably get the time off with all of the public, holidays and things, which is delightful. So yeah, I hope that everyone had a lovely festive season. Also, fun fact, the day that, not today when I'm filming, but the day that this video will be going up on my channel, the 30th of December, is the 5-year anniversary of my channel. I posted my first video on the 30th of December 2014. So 30th of December 2019 is officially my 5-year anniversary, which is really exciting. I cannot believe that I've been doing this for 5 years. It's kind of crazy. So it has been a week since I last checked in with you guys for a recent reads video. I finished 5 things over this past week, which I'm really happy with because I haven't been listening to any audiobooks because I've been off work. So to still get through 5 things, I'm really pleased with that. So let's jump in and talk about the books. Oh, before we actually do jump in, I will just say that I have just exactly finished off my most recent notebook that I use to keep my notes. This is my Let's Be Mermaids Forever, Adults Never notebook. Literally, it's the last book that I finished has filled up the last page of this, which kind of made me want to go, oh, I don't want to read any books for the rest of the year because it would be nice to start a new notebook directly for 2020, but let's be real, I'm not going to not read anything for the last 4 or 5 days, however many days we've got left of the year. So you'll have to stay tuned to my next recent reads video where I will show you what my new notebook will be, because I'm not sure what one I've got. I've got a pile of notebooks because I know I went and bought a stack of them recently, but I'm not sure what one. I can't remember what the covers were, so you'll have to stay tuned to my next video to see that. Anyway, let's get into the books. So the very first thing that I read over this past week was a graphic novel, Mooncakes, by Suzanne Walker and Wendy Zhu. This is a graphic novel arc that I was approved to read from NetGalley, so I was provided the digital copy in exchange for an honest review. This is a young adult LGBT fantasy graphic novel. It basically focuses on the main character is a witch, and there is a werewolf love interest. And so it's a witch and a werewolf, and there's some magic in the town and, that kind of story. It's a really quick, it's a standalone graphic novel. So, I don't want to get too much into what exactly it is about. This had some really great diversity in it. Both of the main character and the love interest are Chinese American. The main female character is a lesbian. The love interest is non-binary. The main female character has 2 grandmas, and the main character is also hard of hearing. She wears hearing aids, so there's that rep in there as well. So there's a lot of different representation in there, which was really great. I liked the art style, but at the same time, I found that some of the panels in this story got a little bit confusing. There was a lot going on, and I was having to really look and try figure out what was going on in the story. I will say that the plot and everything felt a little bit generic, but it was cute and just light and just a cute, fun story. So in the end, I gave that 3.5 stars. I then read, and this is fun because I actually have most of the books here to hold up for you, because normally on Saturdays, so I film on Saturdays, and normally on Saturdays when I film for you guys, I've already been to the library. So I've already returned the library books that I read that week, but the library is closed between Christmas and New Year. They do have the outside return slot, which I could go and take these back, but they're not due. So there's no need for me to do that. And the library's not manned, it's closed. Even if I put them in the slot, nothing would happen with them until the library reopens. So there's no purpose whatsoever for me to take them and return them. So I actually have them here to show to you guys. Who cares? Let's just get on with the book. So the next book that I read was Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is a YA contemporary story. We're following the main character, Grace, who at the start of the novel, like, she was adopted when she was a child. She's always known that she was adopted, and we follow her just after she herself has become pregnant as a teenager, and she's given birth, and she has chosen herself to give her baby up for adoption. And that's kind of happened before the story starts, and she's just given the baby up for adoption, like, kind of when we pick this up. And through that event, she decides that she wants to find out more about her kind of biological family. And she discovers that she has 2 siblings. She has a younger sister who was also adopted into another family, and then also an older brother who was not adopted and is still kind of in the foster care system. And it's about those 3 siblings kind of connecting, and that's basically the story. I said Grace is the main character, but you do actually get alternating chapters from each of the siblings, from Grace, Maya, and Joaquin. So you get all of their perspectives in this. I liked this. I thought it was a really beautiful story, just so much about family and the different forms that family can take, I guess. You know, because you've got your family that you were adopted into, who, of course, well, not of course, but you love and have been good to you, but you still, and then you've got your biological family who you didn't necessarily grow up with, but you do have a biological connection with, and all of those types of things. And there is some stuff in here about friendship and, you know, all of that type of stuff. There is also some good diversity in this as well. Maya is a lesbian, Joaquin is half Mexican, so you've got that as well. I will say that the alternating perspectives wasn't, I liked, and I don't mind a multiple POV story, but I will say that Grace's chapters were my favorite. Maya's were probably my least favorite. She was a bit more of a difficult character to sympathize with at times. She's a little bit bratty almost. But I did really enjoy this story. I am when I wanted to read this because when this first came out a couple of years ago, everyone was raving about this. It just got so many good reviews. It also won the National Book Award. And I did enjoy it, but it just, for me, didn't quite hit that real emotional punch that I was expecting to get from this story. But it is still a really good story, and I did really enjoy it. I ended up giving it 4.25 stars. So you had that. I then read What We Saw by Aaron Hartzler. I buddy read this with one of my subscribers, Chloe. Chloe has actually recently, I believe she had a channel previously, but hasn't been posting videos for quite some time, and has recently reignited her channel and has recently been posting videos. So I will leave a link to her channel in the description box for you guys to check out and hopefully subscribe to. But we did buddy read this together. This is another YA contemporary. This is a rape fiction. We're basically following Kate, who was at a party, and she has woken up the next morning, bit of a fuzzy memory, you know, as you do, and she then starts to hear some kind of rumors about something that went on at the party, but it's all kind of vague. She doesn't really remember anything. She got really drunk and ended up going home quite early. And then a girl from the school, from the party, accuses 4 of the star kind of basketball players from this town of rape. And that kind of kickstarts this whole story. I will say that it's got off to a slow start. You get kind of a good 100 pages at the start, just getting to that point. The story starts off with, like I said, Kate waking up the morning after the party, but it takes quite a while for Kate, for the accusation to come, and we're not seeing it from, so this story is told from the bystander's perspective. Kate is not the perpetrator, she's not the victim. It's told from, which I liked, because it's told from the perspective of what most of us are more likely to be in this type of situation. Well, hopefully, not hopefully it never happens to anyone, but if it does, the percentages are more likely that something like this would happen around us rather than to us. Well, like I said, hopefully not at all, but that's just the statistics anyway. So I liked that we're seeing it from that perspective. You've also got this kind of thread that Kate is maybe forming a romance with like her childhood friend, like a boy that she's been friends with all throughout her childhood, who is also, it gets kind of complicated because he is also on the basketball team. He's not one of the ones accused of the rape, but he is like part of the team and like part of that whole crowd. And then so obviously this deals a lot with, so obviously huge trigger warnings for rape, trigger warning, like, I'm sorry, it deals a lot with like the slut shaming and victim blaming hugely. That is mainly what this is about. The female who has accused these boys is completely vilified by all of her peers online and by the reporters at the start. And one of the things I liked was that I thought the media like coverage of this like in the book was really true to life, because at the start you get the reporters saying like, oh, she was drunk and she had potentially had an existing relationship with one of the boys and she got too drunk and was apparently like not wearing a top, and so, you know, like kind of victim blaming her in the reports. And that then as the story kind of started to turn in the media, then they pick it up and then they want to be like a vigilante for the victim, which is great, except they were one of the ones who were victim blaming her at the start. And then once it's like kind of the better stance to take, then they want to go from the angle of, it's a small town, why are we covering this up? Because there is the angle of the school and the principal and the coach and potentially not wanting this to like get out because it's a small town, and the basketball team is like one of the only good things about this town, like successful things about this town. I thought this did a good job of like showing as well why some people would maybe not want to come forward with what they saw, because one of the whole things is that no one's coming forward. There are a lot of people at this party and no one is really coming forward to say what they saw at the party. And this does a good job of explaining like the different circumstances that may come up, and even if you're a supporter of the victim, you believe her, but why you maybe wouldn't want to come forward, and like for different reasons about how it might affect you, and about the sacrifices that you may have to make if you do make that choice to come forward and make a police report. I'm trying to just like glance at my note to see if there's anything. There's something about the ending of this that I really liked that I can't like talk about without spoiling, but I really, really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really solid look at rape fiction and like victim blaming and rape culture and all of that. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 stars. I then reread Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I think I read this for the first time in 2014, I think, or maybe 2015. Anyway, it's been a few years since I read this, and so I reread it, and I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time. The first time that I read this, there's one, like without spoiling anything, it's obviously a thriller, so there are twists and turns. One of the twists in this, I had been spoiled for before I ever read this, and obviously I still remembered what that twist was going into it this time and knew everything like that had happened because I'd read it before. Because this isn't the type of story to me that the details have gone kind of fuzzy. I pretty much remembered everything that had happened in this because the events of this book really stick with you. This follows two despicable characters. So if you don't know, this is basically about a married couple who on the 5th wedding anniversary, the wife, Amy, has gone missing. And the husband, Nick, is kind of the main suspect. But you do get both perspectives because you get Nick's perspective after the wife has gone missing, and you've got diary entries from Amy from like when they first met, like leading up to the disappearance. So you do get both perspectives. And Amy and Nick are both despicable people. And at different times you find yourself like rooting for them almost, like, and then you think, no, like, why do I even like want that? Because you're awful. You're an awful person. And so it's funny, like this book makes you feel things, and like, yeah, if you need likable characters, this is not a book for you because the characters are frankly absolutely awful, but it's such an enjoyable read. I gave it 4.5 stars the first time I read it. I gave it 4.5 stars this time. Really, really enjoy this book. So there's that. And then the final book that I read this past week was another rape fiction, and that was Exit: Pursued by a Bear by E.K. Johnston. This I had to read for one of my reading challenges for the 52, around the year and 52 books challenge, because this is a retelling of Shakespeare. It's a retelling of The Winter's Tale. Kind of a loose retelling, I would say. The Winter's Tale is not one of Shakespeare's plays that I'm familiar with, so I did look up a synopsis after I had read this to kind of see, and like, I don't know, it's very loosely linked in my opinion, but I don't know the play enough. Like, I literally just read a summary. But anyway, this is about a main character, Hermione, who is a cheerleader, and at the start of the story, she is basically going to cheerleading camp. And while she is at that camp, on kind of the last night of camp, when there's like the dance at the end of camp, there are boys at the camp, because it's like there are male cheerleaders as well. Her drink is spiked and she is raped. And you know from the synopsis, like, as well, that she ends up falling pregnant as a result of that rape. And then it's kind of like about dealing with the fallout from that. So this is a very different perspective from a lot of the like rape fiction that I have read. In that this one we are following the victim, which a lot of rape fiction does. You are seeing it from the perspective of the victim, but this one is very emotionally disconnected. And the main character is not responding to the rape in the way that a lot of characters in a lot of the rape fiction that I have read respond, which I think is this book has very mixed ratings, and I think the people who don't like it, that's a big problem that they have with it. I think that that's a valid viewpoint. I've mentioned this before, that people get like kind of, oh, that's not like how rape victims respond. Everyone responds differently, and that this isn't necessarily like a way that people wouldn't respond. The problem I had with it, because this is probably one of my least favorite rape fictions that I've read. I didn't hate it. I gave it 3 stars because I think some of the things that the author was trying to do were valid. They just didn't always work for me, because there is some like interview questions with the author and stuff at the back. And so basically the vibe I got from this is that the author was trying to kind of portray how she wishes that this would be handled. So it's kind of almost like a rose-tinted view of like what can happen afterwards in terms of the way that people handle it. There is a little bit of conflict, but very minor kind of conflict. For the most part, this is all handled perfectly. Everyone handles it perfectly. The police handle it perfectly. The doctors handle it perfectly. Her family handles it perfectly. Her friends handle it perfectly. There is very little victim blaming, which again, like, she's writing it apparently from the perspective of like what she wishes would happen, because I wish that would be the way that but it's not really realistic which is awful that it's not realistic, but it isn't. Like, I don't believe that. Like, I guess that's what the author was going for, so it's kind of successful, but it just didn't feel like an authentic portrayal. There's very little, there's like 1 or 2 little things that happen in this to kind of enrage you because of like victim blaming and all of that, but it's not really the way it is. Like I said, for the main part, she is supported by basically everyone. She has a therapist afterwards, and the therapist is like an exact match for her straight away, and he's like the most amazing therapist, and like all of that. It was all just, everything's perfectly working out, and it's hard to read that. Like, I get what the author was trying to do, like I said, in portraying like what she like wished like it would be like when this happened, but it's not a realistic portrayal. It's not what it's like. And so yes, I wish this is in like, for that purpose, I guess this kind of worked, but I don't know. And like I said, it's a very like emotionally disconnected as well, which I struggled with. So I don't know. I've got really mixed thoughts on this. Like I said, I ended up giving it 3 stars. I didn't hate it, but it didn't always work for me and like what it was trying to kind of go for. So there's that. I also had some problems with some of the things that happened towards the end of this book, which I thought were entirely not plausible whatsoever, but you know, books aren't always plausible. So yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. That's it. So they're the books that I read. In terms of what I'm currently reading, once again, like in every video, I feel my foot is so badly asleep right now. I am currently reading The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. This is a reread. Oh, also fun. I can show you guys the thing I'm using as a bookmark right now. I'm using this giant plastic paper clip that I got in a Christmas cracker as a bookmark. I actually got in a Christmas cracker a bookmark, which I've actually got in previous years. It's like this plastic thing, like almost like it's just like a elongated oval type shape that just says bookmark on it, and it's got like a little plastic hand, so that I guess when you stick it in the book the hand is like sticking out, but it's quite thick and it's plastic. And I've always been like, this is not a practical bookmark. It doesn't really fit like into your pages. It would just fall out. There's nothing to like hold it in. And then I actually didn't get this in the cracker. My brother's girlfriend Shakara got this in her Christmas cracker, and I was like, well, this would work way better as a bookmark, because you can actually, like, you know, like a paper clip, you can put it like across. Can you even see that? Like, you can slip it over the pages so it actually like holds in. So anyway, fun fact, I am using a Christmas cracker thing as a bookmark. Anyway, this is of course a reread. I haven't read this since, I think I read this in maybe the first month of my channel, or at least right around that time. So it's been a long time, basically 5 years, because I said it's my 5-year anniversary. It's been about 5 years since I've read this. I consider this to be one of my favorite books of all time, but like I said, I've only read it once, and it was like 5 years ago. I've literally only just started this. I've read the like introduction kind of portion, so I'm like 30 pages in, so a lot to go, because this is like an almost 600-page book. But I'm very excited to be rereading this. Even just reading that little introduction, I was immediately back in with Marcus Zuzak's writing. I was just like, yes, Marcus Zuzak, your writing is just real good. So yeah, really looking forward to rereading this, even though I know it's going to emotionally destroy me. So yeah, that's what I'm currently reading. So that's kind of it, I guess. Not a lot to report apart from that. Like I said, it's been Christmas, so I've just been spending time with family. What else? Anything to report? No, my videos will go back to regularly scheduled kind of videos this week. I will be filming my wrap up later this week. Normally I do all my filming for the week on Saturday, but the month isn't over yet, so I need to wait until the month ends so that I can do my December wrap up, and then there'll be a January TBR. And then we'll be getting into all of the, well, I'll then also probably have like my book haul and my Mark Just to Read video, but then we'll be getting into all of the end of year content at the beginning of the year, like doing goal check-ins and new goals and favorite books and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, that is really it. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you have read any of the books that I read, if you've got any thoughts, or I would love to chat with you guys about what you are reading. Are you still trying to cram in a couple of books before the end of the year? I had kind of had it in my mind. I'm kind of close to 300, and I kind of had it in my mind that I would like to get to 300. Like, that would be really cool, even though that wasn't my goal. I've already surpassed my goal. But I still would need to read, like, I think I'm at 290 at this point, and there's, I think, 4 or 5 days, so I would need to read, like, 10 books in, like, 4 days, which is not going to happen. So I see that 300 glimmering in the distance, and I'm like, it's right there. I could maybe get there, but it's not going to happen. I just need to accept that it's not going to happen. I already reached my goal. Just be happy with that, Karen. Okay, but are you guys trying to cram in a few books before the end of the year? I would love to know. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. That is all I have for this video today. Bye, guys.